Hello Year 1, we're going to write the next part of our story. So let's just remind ourselves what we've got so far. This is what I've got. It was a dark, starry night. All was still and quiet in the farmyard. Suddenly the sleepy pigs began to float upwards. Whoosh! Into the sky they drifted. They zoomed under bridges and over rooftops. Now in my picture, I've got them flying around a lake and having a little splash and a swim. So let's have another word for went. How about, I would like drifted, but I'm going to use drifted right at the end. Do you think they're still moving quickly? If they are, we could have rocketed, couldn't we? Or whizzed, maybe whizzed. I'm going to put a joining word here. I'm going to say then, because it connects my sentences nicely. So I'm going to say, then they whizzed to the lake. Or around the lake. Maybe we'll say around the lake. They whizzed around the lake. Around the lake. And now I want them to have a little swim. Now, let's think of a really good word for coming down into the water. I'm going to use a really grown-up word called plunge, and that is like a dive. So they're going to dive down into the water. So then they whizzed around the lake and plunged into the water. What do you think the water would be like in the night? Do you think it would be warm or cold, or I think I might say cool. Then they whizzed around the lake and plunged into the cool water. What noise do you think it would make? Shall we use an onomatopoeic word? Let's use splash, splash, and an exclamation mark. Okay, right, you write your sentence now. See if you can use a word like then or next to start it with. A really good went word rather than the word went, so maybe whizzed or rocketed or drifted. And can you put in some onomatopoeia as well? And then come back. Right, the next part of my story, the pigs go into a garden and they bounce on a trampoline. Okay, so I've had then, so let's use another joining word, another sentence starter. I'm going to use the word next. Next, they flew into a garden and bounced on a trampoline. And what noise might that make? Boing. Okay. Next, they flew into a garden and bounced on a trampoline. Boing. Okay. What are your pigs going to do next? Are they going to do something funny? Remember to start your sentence with a word like next or after that. And see if you can get another onomatopoeic word in like I've done. Right, I'm nearly at the end of my story now. I've got the last bit to do. And I'm going to use a sentence starter finally, and that will show my reader that we're coming to the end of the adventure. So I think I'm going to say, finally, the pigs drifted back to the ground. Finally, I think that's what we'll do. Now, I wonder if we can make that even more. Can we add a little bit to that to make it even more exciting? How about, finally, after having lots of fun, they drifted back to the ground. Or finally, in the early hours of the morning, they drifted back to the ground. Finally. So that's my sentence starter, and I'm going to put a little comma there to show my reader to have a little breath. In the early hours of the morning, The pigs. Do you think they'd be tired after having all this fun? So we could say the tired pigs or the weary pigs. That means when they're really, really worn out. The weary pigs drifted back to the ground. That's the end of my sentence. I'm going to put a full stop. And I think I'm going to end with an exclamation. What a night. I don't think the pigs expected that to happen, did they? Okay, so now you need to do your last sentence. So your last sentence, start with the word finally and describe the pigs falling back down to the ground. If you can end with an exclamation like what a night or what an adventure, that would be really great as well. Okay, so read your story all the way through and make sure it flows. And if you've missed some capital letters and full stops, you can put them back in. Okay, well done.